Hi, I'm Karen. Welcome to Texas Farmstead Living. On today's video, I'm going to show you how to make cottage cheese from clabber. Here in the Texas Hill Country, we call cottage cheese schmearkaes. This video is going to be divided up in 3 different parts. The first part is I'm going to show you how to make cottage cheese using clabber. The second part is I'm going to give you a brief run through of how to make clabber. And thirdly, I'm going to tell you some of my best tips and some shortcuts that you can use when making clabber or using clabber for some different projects such as cheese making. To start with, I set my clabber out of the refrigerator like maybe 4 hours ago to try to bring it to room temperature. Now it is December and my house is probably, I'd say 67 or 68. So the clabber's still really cold. It was made in the last 3 days. I am going to put 2 quarts, which is half a gallon of clabber, in this pot. So I'm just going to pour it right in. It's really nice clabber, really, really thick. It can be room temperature also. Most of the time it is, because I usually just go from culturing and make cottage cheese. So the reason today I'm making some clabber, it's tomorrow I'm taking my 90-year-old mother-in-law some clabber in pairs, or some cottage cheese in pairs. So I live in the Texas Hill Country, and clabber is always been a large part of the German culture here. And in the 1800s, that it was a big part of their diet. So we want to turn our pot on the very, very lowest setting. I'm just going to put the lid on because the pot is really cold, but it's just on the lowest setting. So you don't want the clabber to heat up too fast, because it'll form a skin on the outside of the curds, and the cottage cheese won't be as creamy. So just put your clabber in your pot, lowest setting. I'm just going to, warm the pot up for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm just going to maybe, I want this to happen like maybe over an hour, start warming up. So what I'm looking for, and actually I can take the temperature, if you want to kind of know. I'll take the temperature so you can know. But I want you to learn how to make clabber. Now, I know the pioneers didn't have thermometers, and it was not, when you see the recipes here in the Texas Hill Country, the German, they did not go and say, go to this temperature. They said things such as, when your hand or when your fingers feel warm, that's the temperature that you want to heat it to. It is around 60 degrees, this clabber. But what we're wanting is to get around 110 is that temperature that most people can start feeling warmth. But you will know, because the clabber, it'll start separating the whey from the curds, and it'll start looking like cottage cheese. So it's not anything real complicated, and you really don't need a recipe. You just need to start, file it all the way up here so that you don't worry about it or stress out about it. It's basically just really, really low temperature, really, really slow. Bring it up very, very slowly to around fingertip warm, and we will come back when we get closer to that temperature. I set my timer for 15 minutes, and I wanted to give you a little peek to what it is looking like. I am not going to stir or touch this at all without filming it so that you know exactly. So it looks like it's warming up. The pot feels very warm. Not very warm, but just a little warm. I'm going to very gently stir this. And I can take the temperature right quick. Even though it's best to learn not to use a thermometer, just to learn to make cottage cheese by feel. It's already to around 70 degrees. Okay, I think I'll just leave the lid off for another 15 minutes. I'll come back and check on it. Okay, it's been 15 minutes and I'm going to give it a gentle stir. Just barely warm. I'm going to set my timer for another 15 minutes. Okay, it's been about another 10 minutes and it looks like it's separating. So I wanted to go ahead and show you what it looks like. And go ahead and take the temperature. And it is very warm to the touch. What you don't want to happen is I really don't like for this to go over 110 because I like for it to be considered a raw product, and anything I believe over 118 is no longer considered raw. So this is a raw cultured product. Yeah, we're about 108. And so I think I'm just going to turn the heat off. It's still a little cloudy. So I think I will put the lid on it, on the pan for a few minutes, for maybe 5 minutes, and then we will be back. Okay, our cottage cheese is ready. I wanted to show you this. See, the whey is clear. It's not cloudy anymore. Our top temperature was 110, and it does look like cottage cheese. See, it has separated into curds and whey. Okay, I'm gonna take it over the counter and show you how I strain this. Our curds look perfect, and now we are ready to strain. So I have a colander lined with cheesecloth, or a tea towel is fine. And I like to ladle the cottage cheese into the strainer. I'm going to feed this whey to my chickens. They love it. Actually, for many years, I've been making clabber for my chickens, and it is my secret ingredient, I think, or secret food for my chickens, that why we have such wonderful eggs. Okay. See how that looks? You can tie your cheesecloth and you can hang it up. I do that sometimes. While this cottage cheese is draining, I want to go over with you some instructions of how to make clabber. Now, if you go back and look at our video on how to make a yogurt culture, it's pretty much the same process, except for that was in the, probably July, I believe, this summer, and we are in December. So right now, what I would do to make clabber is I would just, you need raw milk. I would put it in a clean jar, and I would cover it with an unbleached coffee filter or a tea towel, and I would set it aside, and it would probably turn into a solid curd, I would say, in 2 days. Now remember, that's a sign that your milk is not clean, or your cow might have mastitis, or your milk has been contaminated in some way if your milk will not clabber. So after your raw milk is clabbered, usually after day 2, I start, I will put raw milk in maybe a pint jar or half pint jar, and then I will just take a teaspoon of the clabber to start my next batch. I'll take a teaspoon of the clabber, put it in the raw milk, and that will start the next batch. So then I will cover the raw milk that has a teaspoon of clabber in it with a unbleached coffee filter, and I will set that aside. Now, in the winter, right now, my clabber is not making, even though I have a mature clabber, it's anywhere from 12 to 24 hours because my house is so cool. But in the summer, my clabber was made in 12 hours. So you just keep, after it's solid, and you want to make sure that you don't want any liquid on the top of your clabber, because that means it's over fermented. But you just want it to be a solid curd where it will, you can see it'll break away from the sides of the jar. So at that point, I will put it in my refrigerator. Look back, we have a clabbered cultured ice cream video also. But to me, clabber is it's just a staple around here because I replace my buttermilk. I culture all my cheeses with that or kefir. I just don't see any point in using, keeping spending the money and going through the complication of using any other culture. I also have a video about how to make cookies, and that is a cooked cheese that the recipe was passed down in the hill country from the Germans. But the first part of making the cheese is exactly the same. You're actually making clabber, then you're making pretty much a cottage cheese, and then after you drain, I guess you hang your cottage cheese for a day or two. They always would hang it on the clothesline, and then you crumble the cottage cheese on a platter and keep it warm. And it can sometimes take, I don't know, like after that 3 to 5 days before it is ready, and then you would cook those curds into a smooth, it's kind of like a smooth Velveeta looking cheese. But look back at that video because it is a very flavorful, and it is delicious. You spread it on homemade bread. And okay, I'm gonna get a measuring cup so you can kind of see what the yield is from half a gallon of clabber. Okay, it's 2 cups. So you get about a cup per quart of clabber. Now my cows are A2, and they have the Kappa casein B gene, so their milk does coagulate a lot faster than cows that are not. Okay, so it looks real beautiful, like cottage cheese. So I put about a teaspoon, or I'm gonna start with half a teaspoon. You just salt to taste. And this is some fresh cream from my Jersey cows. And I usually put about a tablespoon per cup. We want the cottage cheese to be really, really creamy. And that's why we stir it very gently, and I try very, very hard not to get it above that 115, 118 mark. I hope I've inspired you to make your own cottage cheese and to make your own clabber. I am definitely a big cheerleader for clabber. Have lots of experience making it for many years. And if you have any questions, just ask me down in the comments area. And thank you for watching our video. Please give us a like, and please follow us and watch our videos if you want to learn more about homesteading. I guess our focus is we have a herd of 10 Jersey cows, and I do a lot of cheese making, and I do a lot of bread making. So from our Texas Hill Country Farmstead to you, have a blessed day, and we will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.